Being the world's youngest webmaster.
Yes.
At age 7.
For that I got the President Award, which is the Bal Shakti Puraskar.
एक semester करके college छोड़ दिया.
हाँ.
How did you get funded by YC?
I never dreamt to be in the US. I had no idea मैं US कभी जाऊँगा भी. I had like no idea that मैं satellites बनाऊँगा और I get the President Award. I just like kept doing the stuff that I did.
So Sam Altman, Garry आके आपको पढ़ा रहे होते हैं.
I don't think अगर मैं उस fast paced environment में नहीं होता तो मैं कर पाता. SF में आके जो आपको लगते हैं ना unapproachable लोग, वो आपके दोस्त बनेंगे within like next 15 days.
Hi everyone, welcome to Limitless with Ishan, and today with me I have the most inspiring 19-year-old from Jammu who has come all the way to San Francisco building a company called Bifrost, and he just got backed by Y Combinator, and he has the most interesting story that I wanted to get in front of you guys, because there are so many of you who are 18, 19 and 20 and starting out with your career. You have an idea, you have an obsession with a particular skill or something that you want to build, but you are not sure about how to get started, and this podcast is going to help you out with that. Onkar, thank you so much for taking out the time. How are you doing there, bro?
I'm doing amazing, and thanks for having me.
I think a couple of days ago I visited this place, which is actually the office of Bifrost. You need to tell what that is to the to the people who are watching. But this feels insane. I'll show you the videos as well that will play on the screen. But this is the place where he's building a satellite communication device. Or that's how, is that how you describe it?
Yeah, satellite communications company.
You know, most founders that I meet, I've done over 22 meetings so far in the last 7 days that I am in San Francisco, and all of them are building something or the other in AI. And you're doing something in hardware, which is really interesting. Tell me the YC story. How did you get funded by YC? Especially, I saw the portfolio of recent YC companies, they're all like AI, so that seems to be like a recurring theme.
Right.
But how did the YC process happen? Why did you go with YC? What do you get as a result of being in the YC batch? You're in the fall 24 batch.
Correct.
And just what are your thoughts on it? You're about to do the demo day, which is coming in a week.
Right.
Less than a week. Tell me all about it.
So YC happened, okay. Again, all life has been very spontaneous. We did YC the last day. Literally the last second, not even the minute. So when we submitted the application, me and Geff and my co-founder together, I checked. Did I even get in, or it's like a late
And were you in SF then?
I was in SF. I moved to SF in late June.
क्यों move हुए SF?
First investment मिल गई, and then semester पूरा हो गया, so I went to India for like a month. गर्मी बहुत है, I was like, I'm not staying here. I was like, I booked my flight early, so I was doing it in, मैं जुलाई में आने वाला था, but then I was like, no, मैं जून में जाऊँगा. So I came to SF जून में, एक co-living में रहा, in like bunk beds and stuff. So yeah, worldly struggle, छोटी सी life ज़्यादा नहीं था वो period, but हाँ वहाँ से start करा, and then met my co-founder, started working together, raised more investments, and you know, then CubeSats, satellites, infrastructure create किया. And then we were actually debating about क्या मैं YC करना चाहिए या नहीं करना चाहिए as like a space company, because you see like valuation going up and down. Then I was like, okay, we'll see what happens, but we'll at least apply. So I convinced my co-founder to apply.
YC है क्या, for people who are watching and don't know?
It's like the largest and one of the most selective startup accelerators in the world. And it was founded by Paul Graham. So like crazy stories. अब Airbnb, Sam Altman, सब alumni हैं. DoorDash, like कितनी companies हैं, Rippling है, Gusto है, Stripe है, बहुत सारी companies हैं. Like जो SF वाले हैं उनके लिए तो बहुत सारी companies हैं. normal लोगों के लिए Airbnb पता है सबको. Brian Chesky is there. So एक reputation associated है YC के साथ. Because generally if you're in SF, the first few days be like, oh, you're in the best place ever. And then you get more and more into it, you realize most of these accelerators and you see like Techstars and whatever, because they don't even matter. Funnily, reputation is also going down with YC, but YC still, the brand value still remains intact. Even in the next 100 days, I don't think any accelerator will be able to, you know.
YC की brand value से क्या मिलता है? मतलब, what do you get as a result of
outreach, and easy for me to get more and more reputation now in the American space industry. As to be closed in it, but then it gives you a sense of conviction in your own idea that YC invested first of all when you got rejected from so many investors, because it was hard for us to raise seed back then, because again, क्या background, I had no tags like Stanford dropout or whatever. So it was quite hard on that side. So from there, getting into YC is like, okay, these are like 19 years old. YC has put conviction into. Now I'm like talking with big investors, like named ones. So that has been the thing. And again, one thing in YC that I have seen, like for me as a fast-paced person, YC ने हमें as a space company, as a hard tech company को put in the same level with other SaaS companies and एकदम fast track कर दिया. So the level of traction or the development we have done in the past 2 months in the YC batch, I don't think अगर मैं उस fast paced environment में नहीं होता तो मैं कर पाता.
कितने महीने का होता है ये?
Generally 3 months होता है, but this is like the first ever fall batch. Otherwise,
And what is it about? Is it like ऐसे lecture होते हैं बिठा के आपको classes में, या
first
क्या
few days
होते
you
हैं?
have some lectures and stuff. You meet
And teachers कौन होते हैं?
Sam Altman, हमारे partners, Garry, because I'm in the Garry's group.
So Sam Altman, Garry Tan आके आपको पढ़ा रहे होते हैं?
पढ़ा नहीं रहे होते, they're just talking to each other.
Okay.
एक very काफी ज़्यादा scripted एक उन्होंने अपना interview रखा होता है. Scripted in the sense उनको पता है वो क्या बोल रहे हैं, and
Fireside chat type.
टाइप या एग्जैक्टली. तो उस फायरसाइड चैट से क्या होता है, जनरली अगेन दे आर नॉट स्पून फीडिंग यू, आप खुद छोटे छोटे कंपोनेंट्स लेते हो आपके अपने लिए, एंड देन यू मेक रियली गुड कनेक्शंस. एंड बीइंग इन वाईसी एटलीस्ट यू नो कि आपके बैच में से 10 लोग तो हैं जो आगे जाकर नेक्स्ट सैम ऑल्टमैन बनेंगे. तो जो आपके नेटवर्क्स बनते हैं खुद से, दैट्स लाइक अ डिफरेंट स्टोरी. एंड देन बीइंग इन वाईसी देयर आर लाइक सो मेनी बिग स्पेस कंपनीज इन वाईसी फॉर मी, लाइक SCHMIDT है, Hubble Network है, there's like this company called Alba Orbital. All these big companies are from YC. So for me to reaching out to them and making them my customers becomes like 10 times more easier now. There's like a level of trust. Oh, this is a YC alum. तो वो चीज़ होती है YC के साथ.
Very cool. And what is the application process for YC?
So normal application form, normal questions. Co-founder को कैसे मिले? Like, what's your idea? What's your unit economics? Basic questions. And then there's a component where you have to do like a founder video. It's like a 1-minute video. You're introducing yourselves and your co-founder, and एक छोटा सा blurb about your company.
क्या बोला था उस 1 मिनट की वीडियो में?
So मैं और यहीं पे बैठे थे, literally यहाँ पे मैं और गेफिन बैठे थे, and हमने बोला okay, this is गेफिन, this is Onkar, CEO CTO, we have been working on satellite since we were 15 years old, because मेरी और मेरे co-founder काफ़ी shared story है, तो उस पे बात करें. It's like कि let's join Bifrost together and change how the orbit looks like. हमारा काफ़ी conviction था idea. मैं तो एक cult बना सकता हूँ Bifrost को आज के time पे. But yeah, it was quite interesting.
Very cool. So you applied for YC. What do you think worked out for you? Why do you think they said yes to have you in the batch?
I think the team. काफ़ी लोगों को ऐसा लगता है, this is a misconception that say, a lot of people think that YC take tax. I won't disagree on this, but I
YC takes tags.
just like Stanford dropouts or
Acha.
something like that. Google, ex Meta. I won't disagree. This is a reputation a person has earned over time as an experience. But I won't even totally agree to it. I have seen people with no tags, just with a conviction in their idea. And remember, YC never takes ideas, they take people. More than like 40%, 50% of the YC companies pivot during the whole batch.
Right.
So people think YC is about the ideas or your tags. Yeah, tag matters. So it's basically you as a person.
There's a very cool guy called Calvin Chen, if you know.
Yeah.
And I just met him and I was talking to him, and he said that I had built like this e-commerce store and which did like 800K or something in sales, and that was it. That was my story. I just went to YC and pitched them this and told them that I'm figuring some stuff out.
Right.
And YC bet on him.
Yeah.
And then he built the fashion app that he's working on right now. So they really focus on the person, and if that
Right.
person is really able to start something, go to market and sell it effectively.
I think same thing just happened with us too. So the whole time whenever we pitch, YC says like, you have to say this line that you are the only 2 teenagers in the world who started working on satellites at the age 15. Because when we are presenting ourselves to investors at this stage, generally seed ke stage pe don't have a product, you don't have a market, you don't have LOIs. We do, that's a different story.
You don't have what? LOI.
LOIs, traction, ARR, ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता generally stage पे. So you're pitching basically yourself. And वो चीज़ बताना बहुत important है, because इस stage पे there are no growth investors, they are investing in you guys because they believe in you कि if we invest money आप कुछ तो बना ही लोगे उससे. So same thing. So I think even what worked out for us as a was like हमारी टीम की जो synergy थी ना, मेरी और मेरे co-founder की, वो काफ़ी अच्छी थी. एक काफ़ी shared story थी, and ऐसे लोग कहीं मिलेंगे. You won't find 2 15 years old जिन्होंने एक इसराइल में था, एक इंडिया में था, worked on satellites when they were so young, dropped out of high school, and अब साथ में आके कुछ बना रहे. So this generally never happens.
Insane.
So I think that shared synergy just like worked like a charm for us.
So that is the story so far. What are you doing right now? You told me that you are raising funds after YC.
Yeah, calls are going on. So demo day in like a couple of days.
Demo day क्या होता है?
So Shark Tank imagine करो, but 100 companies हैं, 1 minute की pitch है. So pitch पहले से रटी हुई है. So there is a script. You have one slide. That's it. उस slide में सिर्फ all you have is like verbatim points. So जो आपकी कंपनी की main selling points हैं, like मेरी कंपनी के लिए मैं बता देता हूँ. It's spoiler हो गया यहाँ पे. But मेरी कंपनी का जैसे हो गया, okay, first of all team का एक slide है, उसमें team की एक line है. Then
and team is basically you and your co-founder.
Yeah,
that's
pitch
it.
करेगी.
और कोई लोग नहीं है.
Which is like, okay, I started when I was 16. I am a SCHMIDT fellow, whatever, and he's a Thiel fellow. तो एक selling point हो
Your
गया.
co-founder is a Thiel fellow.
Yes.
How did he do that?
वो तुझसे पूछना पड़ेगा.
उससे पूछेंगे.
But yeah, तो वो एक tag हो गया. So it's like, okay, first selling point हो गया. क्यों invest करना है? Because he's a Schmidt fellow, the other founder is a Thiel fellow. Good. Second selling point हो गया. Okay, we have this much dollars into actions and LOIs or purchase agreements. Then you also have like, okay, this is what you're pinpointing. ये market में gap है, you're fulfilling this, so your solution. And the last line be like, market इतने time से grow कर रही है. This is the percentage in market growth. So you're selling yourself basically. एक मिनट में करना होता है, that's it. And then investors reach out to you after the demo day. They'll meet you. This is the first time after the COVID batch case, but in person होगा. Investors reach out to you, have so many inbounds. अभी तक मैंने 70 meetings करी हैं. And
70 meetings.
This is pre-demo day. After demo day, I might do like 300-400 meetings.
Wow.
So yeah, this is a very heavy process.
And क्या होता है इन meetings में?
We just pitch them and then आगे बढ़ते रहो. हर एक घंटे में एक pitch. You pitch so many investors, you book calls with them. और अब तो Thanksgiving भी आ गया after December break, so round close होने में time लगेगा, but yeah.
Very cool. So that's basically what you're doing right now. But for people who are watching this, why should they consider coming to San Francisco?
So I went to Stanford yesterday to meet few of my friends, and we had this whole discussion about कि victimization पर discussion हो रहा था. And then I said one thing that, you know, for me as a brown person who is not from the US and stuff, I feel more and more safe when I'm in the Bay compared to any other city I've lived in the US. Because there is a sense of community. I see so many brown people. I see so many Asian people. I mean, like 30%, तो, don't quote me on this, but like a majority here is like non-citizens हैं यहाँ पे, immigrants हैं. And whenever I go somewhere, doesn't matter how I look or whatever, I have been treated the same way depending on the work I do. So यहाँ पे ना वो आपका victim card नहीं चलता है, and you are like, you have the equal opportunity.
Right.
So खुद अब इस पे मैं believe भी करता हूँ, and ये खुद को क्या कहते हैं अपने पे conviction देने के लिए भी बोलता हूँ कि you know अगर SF में आके कुछ नहीं उखाड़ा तो मतलब कहीं पे भी नहीं कर पाओगे. Like, it is the place because you have all the opportunities.
Yeah.
If you look at like people like Garry, Sam को देख लोगे. If you just like work hard, not even work hard, just like sell dreams. If you have conviction in your idea and you're building it properly, SF में आके जो आपको लगते हैं ना unapproachable लोग, वो आपके दोस्त बनेंगे within like next 15 days. It's that easy. It's not hard. जो Google का headquarters देखे भी like, oh this looks so good, वो 5 दिन के बाद उतना अच्छा भी नहीं लगेगा. Because there's so many cool things to do in SF.
Yeah.
So I think वो जो layer है ना, वो बड़ा वाला जो gap है ना, वो bridge हो जाता है SF से आके. And you should just like try once. लोग यहाँ पे life savings $600 से start करते हैं.
मतलब
they just come here with $600.
$600 लेकर के कोई इंडिया से यहाँ पर आ रहा है.
हाँ, ऐसे लोग भी हैं.
और क्या करते हैं यहाँ पे आकर के?
Figure out करते हैं यहाँ पे आके.
हसल. रहते कहाँ हैं?
होमलेस भी हो जाते हैं कई बार. कभी कभी किसी गराज में रह लेंगे, उनके लिए काम कर लेंगे फ्री में, just to have that free housing. तो people struggle here a lot, but उनकी stories काफी inspiring होती हैं. And ये opportunity आपको और कहीं नहीं मिलती है. From starting from a ground up with no resources, no nothing. And SF has that fast-paced environment. एक vibe है. If you live in stuff like hacker houses, you just realize कि इतना crazy fast-paced है that if you don't do something, आप खुद में सोचोगे मैंने नहीं करा है, and that just makes you keep moving more and more. So that's something very amazing about SF.
There is a quote by Naval, and he says that in your 20s, the 3 most important decisions that you will make is what you decide to work on, with who you work on, and your zip code. These 3 are the most important decisions
and
that
your
you will
zip code should start from 94 in the US. Come to SF.
which is San Francisco.
Yes.
Very interesting. So that's the pitch about coming to San Francisco. But बहुत सारे लोग अभी जो देख रहे हैं वीडियो, वो कॉलेज में हैं, वो अटेंडेंस पॉलिसी है 75%.
Right.
They are just surrounded by people जो कि मोटिवेशन नहीं है, उनको जॉब लेनी है बस and all that. But they want to do something more. तो वो क्या कर सकते हैं? What do you think? What are some avenues or some advice that you would have that you've seen people do around to come out of that whole loop and that surrounding?
Honestly, I think life happens. Number one, तो life है, and you just keep doing the stuff you're doing. So लोग मानते नहीं हैं, but serendipity बहुत matter करती है life में. Talk to more and more people. You know, people say network is your net worth. There is a base to it. Like, वो है, then you need to have certain hard skills, then you work on it. But you have to get out of that social anxiety and you know, imposter syndrome कि मैं नहीं कर सकता. Because I've seen so many good people जो अपने आप को pitch करना ही नहीं जानते. They have done some crazy stuff in their life, but they don't know how to pitch themselves. And that's just because of their social anxiety. They'll think कि लोग क्या सोचेंगे या कुछ over तो नहीं लग रहा करते. I think you have to let that go. SF is honestly personality hires. Cracked लोग हैं, but if you're like a founder, you have to be a fucking personality hire. You have to show that you can pitch yourself, doesn't matter, and you won't make it cringe. और वो नहीं होगा because this is SF. You get equal opportunities. You can do whatever you want. लोग ऐसे background से आते हैं and कुछ लोग हैं जो zero से आते हैं. Both start from the same ground up. अब जो इतना equal access मिल रहा है वो कहीं नहीं मिलता है. And inspiration के लिए honestly just काम करते रहो. I never dreamt to be in the US. I had no idea मैं US कभी जाऊँगा भी. I had like no idea that मैं satellites बनाऊँगा और I get the president award. I just like kept doing the stuff that I did. And वो automatically हुआ है. Even YC हमने last दिन तक apply नहीं करा था. It was like हम करेंगे, Bifrost बनाएंगे, company बनाएंगे, main focus is tech. बोला कर देते हैं YC क्या जा रहा है, हो गया. It's like making use of all the opportunities I had around and people don't do it. I think that's one thing you should look out for. I mean Google access you find just everything online and just make use of it, honestly. There's no way to it. There's no crash course on coding or hacking because everyone finds their own way. So either be just like do the stuff you do, like do it on your own. कुछ ना कुछ होगा. I won't say that you will get into Vice, you'll become a Thiel fellow. सबकी life different है. But if you just like continue the work you are doing and just try to know about more and more opportunities and make use of it, life will just happen.
ऐसे कौन से programs हैं जो that you just said that will sponsor you or that will help you come to the States or just fund your education and stuff like that? You just mentioned Emergent Ventures and SCHMIDT Fellow. What are the other ones?
There's like Rhodes Scholarship in the UK. There's SCHMIDT Fellows. मैं तो वही बता रहा हूँ जिससे मैं associated हूँ. So you have SCHMIDT Fellows. Rise होता था for high schoolers, अब वो बंद हो गया. But Emergent Ventures, you make good connection in the US and India. वो काफ़ी close knit अच्छा environment है. मैं तो हर जगह pitch करता हूँ. I love EV and basically that. Then people apply to YC. YC is crazy. People like 10,000 applications every single batch from all across the world. तो वो होता है. वहाँ honestly YC का तो सबसे equal chance लगता है मुझे. There are people from so many different regions across the world जो YC में आते हैं. तो ऐसा लगता है YC का तो एकदम fair chance and you don't have to be in the US. आप बैच के लिए आओगे then people figure their stuff out and you can be anywhere. I think मैंने YC में ऐसे लोग देखे जिनका कोई बैकग्राउंड नहीं है, एक आइडिया था तो वो हमारे इतने फॉर्चुनेट भी नहीं थे that you had a background कुछ था pitch करने के लिए. They were just like so impressive, the way they pitched their ideas or just the conviction they had and the team strength. Again focusing. If you're a solo founder, cool. If you're a team, you have to be a very strong team. तो वो सब चीज़ें थी.
But take me back to the time when you were a child, when you were in Jammu with all the dreams and interest in hardware and whatnot.
Okay, so this is how my parents defined my journey. So I was age 7 and I used to code. I don't even remember this, but this is what I even got a world record for being the world's youngest webmaster, which I think got broken.
Being the world's youngest webmaster.
Yes.
What is a webmaster?
So anyone who knows like both back end or front end of a website.
Full stack developer.
Yeah, more like that. I don't know. So what I used to do was like having my own virtual machine and stuff, then setting up your own web server locally, and then instead of doing port forwarding, I think what I did, I just had a tunnel. I think it was ngrok or something. So yeah, I was quite young. I used to
at age 7.
At age 7,
you became a full stack developer.
Not a full stack developer. I just spinned up one machine, some website, and yeah, for that age, I coded something and hosted it on my own locally, not even like any cloud machine. So then I got this world record for being the world's youngest webmaster.
That's insane.
I think which eventually got broken a couple of weeks ago. I just got to know it because I tried to search world's youngest webmaster and it was no more me. Which is
it's a wild world out there.
I know, right? Amazing people out there. So that's how my journey really started when I was back in Jammu, and I was really fortunate that in a city which is like very resource deficient when you compare it to rest of the country, so my dad had a cyber cafe. So people used to go there, use it, pay on hourly basis.
Did you used to go there as well?
Yes.
क्या करते थे मजाक?
बस लैपटॉप पकड़ लिया, कस्टमर्स भगा दिए पापा के. So it was quite fun though, but पापा मुझे भगा के भेज देते थे कि तू कस्टमर्स खराब कर रहा है. But it was quite fun this time. So again, people did not used to have their own personal computers and stuff. ये बात है 2009, 2010 की. So then I was like, okay, I can use that opportunity. And I was quite young. PCs were new things. People used to play games and stuff. But again, it was cyber cafe. I did not have a personal computer, so all I had was like basic Chrome, YouTube, वगैरह वगैरह. And then on a random day, my dad was probably like, just don't stop playing games and do something which is resourceful or something. And maybe he mentioned randomly the word website.
And what age were you back then?
6.5, 7, almost that.
7 साल के थे?
हाँ.
Okay.
So हो गया बस, then this happened. Then 5 years down the line, still doing the same thing, getting websites done and stuff. And I also made my first, interestingly, my first $60, 5,000 rupees. I made it when I was 11.
Wow.
So एक local laboratory थी, उनके लिए website बनाया था. That's how I really started, and then
And why did they trust you?
because
Because you were 11 then.
I think they gave me my first 500 trial basis पे कि okay बच्चा आया है, I'll give them 500, and then उसके बाद website बनाओ. So they gave me the 500. I made the website design. They were like, oh, this is so good. We'll give you 5 tasks. Awesome. And I gave that to my dad. So from there, my just interest somehow shifted to theoretical sciences, physics, and I wrote my first book. It was called When the Time Stops, and for that I got the President Award, which is the Bal Shakti Puraskar, which is the highest civilian honor of India. So yeah.
And what age was that at?
Wrote the book at 12. The Bal Puraskar I got it when I was 14 years old in 2020. So
Wow.
4 years ago.
How do you write a book at 12?
I don't know. I was. This is quite funny because I was in this DD national interview after the Bal Puraskar, and they were like, "Okay, what's your inspiring journey? Like, how did you get inspired to do this?" I was like, "Because I love Doraemon."
You love Doraemon?
Yes,
Okay.
I still say it. I'm 99. I still say I love Doraemon. Like, that's my guilty pleasure. Watching Doraemon means no one is watching me. So they had this episode of how your watch stops and stuff. Then you can do whatever crazy stuff you want to. So it's like, if this has to happen, how would it happen in an actual situation if you
Yeah.
put it from a scientific perspective? So that's what I did basically, and got award by the President of India. And I think from there, my life just changed because I got good connection in the government and stuff. I was like so-called micro celebrity in Jammu for quite a while, and it's like use those to do more and more impact and more and more fun for my life, I guess.
What happened then?
COVID. Everything shut down, COVID, and I made this website called COVID Kid Jammu. I think it was pretty popular back then, and it was.
So at this point, you taught yourself how to code. You were able to build websites on yourself. How
Yeah.
did you come up with these ideas?
Okay, this will be like if I'm praising myself, but I feel that I'm very resource driven, or when I have less resources, I'm more driven, and I'm very impact driven too. This is what, if someone have to ask, this is like my definition of what inspires me even to do a startup or Bifrost. So for me back then it was like, oh, there's COVID. I cannot go outside, right? It was the first thing, first win, whatever. So I have to do something. It's like, let's create like a self-risk assessment tool. And that was basic Python libraries and basic logic. If you have these symptoms, this, that. Because first wave, it was very symptomatic. So that's what we did basically. And then we have contact tracing, try to work with the government. Government said, no, we won't do your website. Then I did it on my own. And then ABP News, all these Indian channels, everyone covered it. And
Wow.
It went quite popular.
फिर क्या हुआ?
फिर वो वेबसाइट गवर्नमेंट वेबसाइट से भी ज़्यादा फेमस हो गई. सो एट द एंड ऑफ द डे हमें बहुत सारा डाटा मिल गया जो हमने गवर्नमेंट को ईमेल भी करा था कि ले लो हमसे, बट उन्होंने नहीं लिया. बट काफ़ी इम्पैक्ट हुआ. वी सेव्ड like 4 to 5 lives too.
ऐसा क्यों करती है गवर्नमेंट? Why don't they want to work with you together?
I don't know. वहाँ पे उस टाइम एक डीसी हुआ करती थी, तो शी वाज लाइक वेरी कॉकी. नेवर रिप्लाइड. बट उसके बाद जब सब कुछ हुआ, देन आई हैव सम ऑफ द बेस्ट फ्रेंड्स इन द गवर्नमेंट इंडस्ट्री में एंड bureaucrats.
Okay.
I think there is like a level you have to gain a level of trust before you get into them or become friends.
And what happened between that and you coming to SF?
COVID, high school, shifting to the US.
Why did you shift to US?
High school. So I was sponsored by Eric Schmidt.
ये कैसे करते हैं? How does this happen? मतलब why how does he sponsor you? How does the selection process look like? How many people get in basically?
अभी मेरा friend है back camera. He is also a Rice fellow. So the thing is that
Rice fellow.
Rice fellow और Rhodes fellow, Schmidt fellow, जो मर्जी बोलो.
ये सबसे एक ही चीज है ये.
हाँ, तो राइस को रोड्स ट्रस्ट चलाता है और श्मिट फ्यूचर्स चलाता है. तो आप तीनों तरीके से डिफाइन कर सकते हो, बट वो तीन इंडिपेंडेंट चीज़ें हैं. सो व्हाट हैपेंड इज आई वाज कनेक्टेड टू श्रुति Rajagopalan. She is a professor in the US, Mercator Center में, and she's an economist. And I was a part of her grant program. In fact, me and my co-founder, that's how we met in the first
How
place.
did you become a part of the program?
I just randomly applied.
You
So
applied.
during COVID, there was something called fast COVID grants by Mercators. ताकि मुझे grants मिले and I can run the website and I can continue just to get some AWS credits and stuff. I applied for like $1,500. I got approved. And Emergent Ventures is like, and I was the youngest one back then, by the way. So I was 14, I was the youngest one. And that's how I became like the Emergent Ventures baby. And everyone used to baby me.
What is Emergent Ventures and what is this program about?
So Emergent Ventures helps entrepreneurs or any ideas to scale from like -1 to 0. So when they are in their minus stage, वहाँ से 0 तक लाने का काम, they help you. So it's like a non-dilutive grant program. It's very famous, pretty famous in the US. I mean, like at least 60% of the people who matters in SF know what EV is. This is quite famous.
Yeah, so I was the youngest one back then, one of the first in the India batch, specifically.
And why did they select you particularly?
I think they just liked my background, or maybe they try, because that time it was very impact driven. It's still very impact driven.
And what is the perks of being inside it?
First of all, you get money, and I
How
don't think
much?
that's depends. Like I asked for 1,500. I've raised more than like 23K from Emergent Ventures, 5 different projects over the past 4 years.
So you just pitch them that, hey, I'm building this project and I need $1,500 from you, and they'll pay it to you.
Yeah, it depends upon how they like it.
Okay.
So the whole idea is that it's not a grant program. It's not like free money. It's more of the community, the sense of community. Because I was doing this project when I was 15 during COVID in India called the InQ project, which is the first open source satellite mission of India, working closely with the Indian Space Agency and the industry working on it. So when I was doing it, I needed a Raspberry Pi, and it was like all locked down. In fact, there were nothing, even not second-handed on eBay or Amazon or anything. I texted the EV group, be like, I need it urgently because I have to do some debugging on the satellite system. And someone shipped it to me for free. So that sense of community in EV is something that matters.
Do you think someone who's like a teenager in India, curious about technology or hardware, should apply for EV?
Yeah, 100%.
क्या requirement होती है? Eligibility कुछ criteria होता है?
There's no eligibility.
Okay.
You can be 90 years old, you can be 7 years old.
कुछ education qualification कुछ नहीं होता है?
Nothing.
Okay.
I'm a high school graduate dropout, तो मेरे पास कुछ भी नहीं है. According to my
We'll get to that. अभी धीरे-धीरे. Okay. And then what happened? Like after you worked with EV?
After that, yeah, that's how I just got connected to the US community as a whole. And उसके बाद I got connected to the US space industry क्योंकि वहाँ से मिला. Then it was easy for me to, just like go into more and more people, pitch myself to them. And that's what I did.
And how did the transfer to US happen?
So, yeah, I became a RISE fellow. So now, Shruti.
And RISE was the same as SCHMIDT fellow?
Yeah.
And this is different from Emergent Ventures?
Yes.
How do you become a SCHMIDT fellow?
So Emergent Ventures manager, which is Shruti, and she's like mom to me. Right? So Shruti told me about that there is something that SCHMIDT looks for, and maybe you are the one SCHMIDT looks for. But SCHMIDT is like something which is meant for undergrad students or like graduates. So she was like, I'll pitch you to them and see what happens. And she did. After like 6 months, they started this program called RISE. It was in collaboration with the Rhodes Trust, the oldest Rhodes Scholarship in the University of Oxford. So they came together, had a baby, and it is RISE, which is like a full ride for high schoolers. It's discontinued now, but I was the part of the third batch. So she recommended me, and yeah, I was probably the first one to know about what RISE is, which is quite nice. So yeah, in the first cohort, applied, made it to the finalist, but then it was the winners interview day. And I was in Jammu, so lockdown, no internet. All you had was 2G, so I basically fucked up my interview process, and it did not make it further from the first cohort. Then second time, I just did not apply because I was so frustrated. Third time, just worked like a charm because I needed a full ride. So that happened, and yeah. But between that being like the first time finalist and the third time as a winner, between that time, my SCHMIDT was like, we want to choose like at least 1 or 2 finalists who are not winners and give them a full ride to the school called Avenues in New York. And that's what they did.
So they basically pay for the tuition fees for you to study in the high school, which is in New Jersey.
New York.
New York.
Yes.
Okay.
So I was a part of their online school system called Avenues Online, which now merged into AE On School. And yeah, I did my...
And what do they get in return for this?
Nothing. It's a scholarship. But I got a lot of things in return. I made so many good friends, got introduced to the US culture. And specifically being in New York was like being in the epicenter of like capitalism. And just to realize that there's more to life. And New York is not it. And it is quite interesting because I was in New York during my graduation when I met some venture capitalists for the first time. Because I was transitioning to a phase where I was like, I'll do this, but at the same time, whatever I was working on with Bifrost, as a tech stack, not as a company before, I'll make it happen as a commercial entity. So I met with the VCs, they were like, you're not made for New York. And this thing was back then called SatMesh. So they were like, SatMesh is not made for New York. You have to go to somewhere like LA or SF.
SatMesh?
Yeah. So because Bifrost is like a network of relay satellites, it's essentially a mesh network.
And iska idea kaise aaya?
Okay, this is quite interesting. So I was working on Incube, a satellite project, right? So I had that experience of,
Jiske liye you took funds from Emergent Ventures.
Correct. And I was working with the Indian Space Organization on that. So the whole thing was that.
You were working with ISRO for this.
ISRO was about to launch it. Never happened. That's like a whole different story.
And how did you get to work with ISRO?
Space Minister was an MP from Jammu. And just the government connections I made.
Got it.
During that period
Because
of
you
time.
got that Puraskar. And
Yeah,
and
so
all that.
I just like try to use it to the best of I can. Yeah, that's basically how it happened. And as a satellite developer myself,
And what were you doing with them, with ISRO?
I was just like, they were just about to launch my satellite. That's it.
Okay.
So I was working with them, facilitating on testing requirements and shows the pura process hota hai.
And did they launch it?
It never happened. There were so many issues, and then again timelines didn't match. Then I came to the US, high school, vagera. So just never happened. Yeah, so I was onto this project and stuff. And again, as a satellite developer, I just realized that I'm spending so much money into this. I'm spending my years into building it and launching it. And when you launch it, your communication window is basically fucked up. All you're getting is like 5 minutes every 90 minutes. So you're basically losing on everything you just spend your years working on. I was like, I have to fix it. And then I was, again, very fortunate enough to be very close with the Indian Space Agency, which also made me very close with the Indian space industry. I was like, is this something I'm just facing, or is like the industry standard? Yeah, people want to change it. Like, how does the companies feel like? So Indian space industry boom kar rahi thi. I just met so many other founders, companies, and talked with them. It was like this and that. They were like, yeah, this is a real problem, and no one is solving it. There are existing solutions like AWS, Azure Orbital, and like Northwood करके company आई है. It's like so many solutions out there, but very cumbersome, very expensive, and all they get you is like upgraded connectivity, like 2x the communication window. They can never offer it 24/7 because वो कुछ possible ही नहीं है the way ground stations work. So they were like, yeah, this is what we rely on right now. So we're just trying to get the best out of the worst. So जब मैंने उस चीज़ को personally देखा, it's like, okay, what's wrong with the industry? Because if you see like over the past 5 to 10 years, अब space industry is not just for the space people. You'll see like Apple launching their satellites. Samsung might launch their satellites. Who knows? So like you'll see like non-space players playing with satellites in the orbit now. And उनके लिए industry standards are not the same. Recently, एक पिछले batch में company थी, YC के, it's called Luminorbit. They are trying to do AI in space. No comments on that. But if you're trying to make normal things happen in space, so this industry standard around telecommunication has to change. Because normal people can't rely on our industry standards of like, oh, 5% of connectivity, no. So after this industry grows, I just realized that there is a very big potential in this $90 billion market कि यहाँ पे कुछ हो सकता है. And then I was like, okay, now I need to commercialize that. And I think I had that idea, that valuable insight at a very young age and at a very early point in life. जब अभी companies आ रही हैं, इस field में enter कर रही हैं, we already have the tech stack. हमने पूरा unit economics से लेके अपनी company का structure से लेके everything from tech stack is figured out. So I was like, I was in a very good position. So it's like, I don't want to let it go. So मैं college गया, I did one semester and just like dropped out. Yeah.
So you went to college in New York,
In Pennsylvania.
in Pennsylvania. How did that happen?
Just Rise ki scholarship, it was a full ride. My dad was like, go there. And then maybe transfer out. It was not like a very big school, but I had admission offers from big schools too. But he was like, go there, don't take a gap year. And I was like, ठीक है. So I went to that school in Pennsylvania and did a semester.
And all of the tuition fees was paid by the scholarship.
Yeah, it's just like, it's a 4-year scholarship, so I get everything. I can still go back to school, which I won't. But yeah, that was basically that. So semester kiya, I just did not realize it's a place for me. So eventually,
तो डर नहीं लगा ऐसे कॉलेज छोड़ने में or anything like that? एक सेमेस्टर करके कॉलेज छोड़ दिया.
हाँ, my dad was like, एक साल तो कर ले, credits मिल जाएंगे पूरे, then you can transfer out. It's like, I was not mentally prepared for what was going to happen to me in college. Because again, I have been working in a very fast-paced environment. My first investor, जो है, he really defines me as a very fast-paced human being. And I went to professors, they like really defined me as a very fast-paced human being. And that's what I am. Because मेरी life बहुत spontaneous रही है. It's never been like, a straight line. And I hate straight lines in my life. I want like ups and downs happening the whole time. So if I started unconventionally, doing the conventional thing again, I just realized कि वो मुझे mentally काफ़ी ज़्यादा harm कर रही है. And I was like, okay, fuck it. I'll go, I'll give the exams, I won't go to lectures. But I'll continue working on this and see what happens within a semester. Within a semester, पूरा बनाया, market research करा, छोटा-छोटा contributions करते रहे tech पे. And then eventually raised my first investment. And at least I was in that position कि I had my first investment. I had my first $150,000 in bank. So it was a little bit easy for me to drop out compared to other people who have no visas on them, who don't have money in bank, but they're just like coming here to explore something new, which is another interesting thing that I have learned from founders. But which is like, you have nothing, but you're just like getting your life on so spontaneity यहाँ पे कि कुछ भी होगा देखा जाएगा. So I have seen founders who are on a B1 visa or an F1 visa college वापस नहीं गए, and then they were like exploring 10 different ideas. They have no money in bank and just like burning their savings. So I was lucky to be not in that position. And I think मेरे parents भी कभी नहीं मानते अगर I had like $0 in bank and then I'm just like getting my life off, देख लेंगे कुछ ना कुछ ऐसा में कर लेंगे. So I was quite lucky. And yeah, then just life happened. Then it's on life rest of the time.
Amazing. This has been super cool. At the end, my last question is, out of all the work that you've done so far, what do you think is the most important skill that helps you do what you've done?
Talking to people. I think if you cannot pitch yourself to people, if you cannot talk to people, and if you cannot yap about your startup, you're not worthy of being a CEO. Because this is a crazy tweet, but the whole point of being a CEO is to, number one, yap about your idea the whole time, and the second one is to make sure you have money in your bank. That's it. I think you just have to be out there. Just put yourself in that situation. Talk to more and more people. Because like, let's say I talk to you and I make more connections through using you, and you make more connections through me. So that's just like in everyone's favor. वो जो utility वहाँ पे increase हो रही है दोनों के लिए हो रही है. So I think SF is a great place for this. और कहीं पे भी. So I think that networking sense is only when you're out there, you're presenting yourself, and you're very open about the stuff you do. So yeah, talking to people has been really good for me. Worth it.
It is stories like you who give hope to people who are your age, my age also. I'm 23 now, but I feel old now. Huh?
I thought you were 21.
Yeah, I'm forever 21 on social media, but I'm 23 now.
Wow.
And it is insane how much this podcast reaches out to people and can give them hope, give them that inspiration that okay, मैं भी ऐसा कुछ कर सकता हूँ. The whole motive of me starting this was because I wanted to spread awareness. जैसे your story, so people now know that अच्छा ऐसे करके भी हम आगे जा सकते हैं. We can get into YC with an idea. We can apply for all of these fellowships and these programs, and we can come to the US, network with people, meet anyone that we want to. And so now they can make better choices in their life and have a better career. So that's the goal of the channel. Thank you so much, Onkar, for taking out the time. I wish you all the very best with Bifrost, and looking forward to doing another podcast with you and your co-founder who's busy somewhere else.
Yes.
But karte hain. I wish you all the best.